one of the things I try to focus on whenever we talk about gun control is again, keeping focused on what the problem is. Because most people can agree on a problem and they can agree on a potential end state. They just debate on how we get from problem to end state. And if you can keep the discussion there, you can usually make some progress. Even if you don't, even if everyone's not singing Kumbaya at the end, you at least can have a respectful conversation. One of the things I always like to bring up with people is, do you realize that conservative estimates suggest that 500,000 times a year in this country, that's conservative estimates. The more liberal ones, 2.1 million per year. Somebody uses a firearm. A law-abiding citizen uses a firearm in order to defend themselves. So when you say we're going to make it harder for someone to have a firearm, you look at the 33,000 gun deaths every year in the United States, 2/3 of which are by suicide, and you say, we're going to prevent some of this. I see 500,000 new victims that never had to be a victim, except that their government made them more vulnerable to their attacker.
Yeah.
So if you can appreciate that we both care about innocent people getting harmed and we both want to prevent that, we simply have different approaches to it, well, then we can have a respectful discussion about that. But I'm not about to tell a battered wife that she's not allowed to get a firearm in order to defend herself, because it would make you kind of feel safer if she didn't have it. I'm not about to tell the shop owner that has been robbed several times and has been beaten, or as my story my father once relayed me in LAPD of a older gentleman who every month during payday the gang members came over, beat him up, and took his paycheck. I'm not about to tell that person that, hey, you don't get to defend yourself because it might make someone over here feel safer. I'm not interested as much in what makes you feel safe. I'm actually interested in what makes you actually safe.
Yeah, yeah.
And so it's difficult, but you're right. We can't just rely on, this isn't just a statistics game. This really is about protecting flesh and blood people and figuring out the best way to do that. And I don't see how disarming law-abiding citizens is the way to do it. And I just want to bring up one other point, because you're right when we say that, well, the Second Amendment is not just about individual defense from a criminal or a gang member. It's about defense from an oppressive government. And you say that today in the United States, and people kind of roll their eyes like, oh,
right.
you really think the 82nd Airborne Division is coming in? And I like to remind them that, okay, well, 2 generations ago, if you were a black family in the Jim Crow South, and you called the cops because the Klan was threatening you, you didn't know if the cops were going to ignore you or if the cops were going to show up and help the Klan.
Yeah.
The thing that actually protected you and your family against the government was the fact that you had the ability to own a firearm and protect yourself, and that you could pool with other people and protect yourselves and protect each other's families. So that wasn't 200 years ago, 50. This isn't redcoats.
Right.
Right. This is, agents of the government in the Jim Crow South a couple generations ago. So this idea that, well, we've moved past all of this, I'm sorry. Human behavior can definitely change and societal norms can change. And I think it's great that I think we have made a lot of progress on civil rights and civil liberties. But don't ever doubt that there is an element of human nature that is always there waiting beneath the surface when it's not held in check. And to say that I'm not going to permit you as the government to be able to defend yourself because I think we're past all of that, that's unjust.